Hello everybody, Larry Young here again with another segment of OLaMan Living Life with Purity. And today I want to get into a discussion about internet brain versus a dad brain. And this is going to lead us a little bit more to an association with the Holy Family and Saint Joseph in particular. And so we'll get into that in a future segment here that I'll be doing with Alex Fiato. He's doing a little bit of drilling down on the influence of Saint Joseph and the Holy Family as determined in this collection of books here at the Mystical City of God. And so Alex has been working on that a little bit, and we're going to be getting into that here coming up. But what we've seen on college campuses around the country here these last 3 weeks has been nothing short of just incredible. I witnessed the politics of 1968 to 1973, and I saw what happened to older siblings, and I saw what happened to people who were protesting at that time against the Vietnam War and the government in general and its abuses. And right now, what we've merged into is not so much a fact-based attack against a specific program or war that's going on, but it's being abused and moved around to whatever these people seeking power are looking to try to do. So I know it's confusing, but what we got going on right now with our young people and our non-dedicated people who don't know who they are, they're still looking for that, and they're willing to take up whatever cause gets them likes and gets them esteem in their group surrounding them. So this is why you see the blue hair, the green hair, the nose rings, and things like this. These are things that are attacks on their personhood, and they don't like who they are, so they want to change in these ways. I think a lot of these women wearing nose rings don't know what a nose ring is for. It's for controlling people, and it's for controlling big animals. And I'll tell you what happened with me when I was a child with a nose ring. My uncle was a farmer, and he had a bull. And this bull was a real badass. And it didn't like me, and it didn't like anybody. Except for my uncle, he was afraid of him. And I had the chore one morning of going and putting grain in the bin for this bull. And I got into the pen, and everything was fine until I dumped the grain into the basin for the bull. And then the bull cut me off from getting back to the gate. He stood between me and the gate, and I was up on the wall, and I was afraid I was going to get crushed by this thing. My uncle came along and saw what was going on. He jumped into that pen. He grabbed that bull by the nose ring, and he yanked, and that bull hit his knees. He ripped on that nose ring so hard that bull, this 1,200-pound or whatever it was bull, went right to his knees and did not move. I got out of there, and what had happened in that moment is my uncle broke the septum of that bull, just ripped it right on through. But that bull learned, and that bull never gave me crap again when I went in to feed it. That bull stayed the hell away from me because he associated that pain with me. Now, that's what nose rings are for. And when people put these things in their noses, I don't think they realize what they're doing. They think that they're making some sort of statement, but what they're doing is they're saying, I can be moved, I can be changed, just yank on my nose ring, I'll do whatever it is you want. So nose rings are a sign, I believe, of weakness and being subordinated, just like that bull was. And if anyone really wants to know, we ate that bull about a year later. So what we have going on with a lot of our young people right now is this internet brain. And what they do with this is they try to compare themselves to others and without knowing who they are themselves. And so they're looking for these comparisons and say, oh, she's so pretty and blah, 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 and all like this. And, oh, she's so courageous and all like that. When she really hasn't done anything. She just put a video out there talking about doing stuff, but they never do anything. Because these people haven't had any sort of success on their own because, for one, they haven't suffered. Now, I know a lot of young people out there say that their generation has suffered. Well, they have suffered probably emotionally because they've been taken around this round robin of things when their parents are saying something, how they want their children to be, but then they get to school and the teachers tell them that they don't need to follow their parents' advice because their parents don't know. Follow me with the blue hair. I know what to do. Now, these teachers have become organizers, and they've taken over your children, and you've let it happen. So, although you all may love Mrs. Kennedy, your third grade kid's teacher, she's the greatest thing. She's probably one of the biggest problems. And what you need to do is you need to look that straight in the mirror and see that nose ring and yank on it. Now, when you get this group of malleable people who can be moved around like they did with these kids, these organizers don't give a damn about what's going on these college campuses. This is just a trial run for the next big thing. This is proof of concept. They've shown that they can move these people in large enough numbers to scare everybody and make some sort of a video statement to the world, which makes the world think that this is the general consensus on these campuses. No, it's not. Let's talk about Columbia University. Columbia University has 36,000 students, 14,000 of which are non-American transnationals who've come across to go to school there. They pay full tuition. So Columbia University loves having these out-of-country students because they pay the bills. And their governments who are sending these people in are making huge endowments and gifts to these universities to make sure that this continues, because they want their kids to be educated and then hopefully come back home to help build their countries. But what happens a lot of times is these kids say, screw you, I'm staying here. We've got Starbucks. So this is what's happening in greater and greater numbers. So what these organizers are doing, like the Pritzker family and the Soros family. Now, Pritzker, think about that. The Pritzkers have a member in the United States Senate out of Illinois. They also have one of their brothers is a governor of Illinois. Why on earth would the folks that own Hyatt hotels be funding these types of things in such great dollars and trying to obscure it so much? Why would they do that? They're looking for power. They've got money, now they want the power. So we've got this internet brain going on, and it uses these influencers to try to gather power together. That's all they're doing right now. They really don't care about these kids. They don't care about the next generation of kids. All they care about is power and their ability to influence them and be able to move them in a moment with a couple of tweets and a couple of TikTok videos. This is how it's all going. So we need to understand that the regular network television and things like this, the old school methods of delivering the news, is no longer valid with this group of people. They're not watching. They don't care. What they care about is what Taylor Swift has to say. Now, Taylor Swift would be nothing as she is today if it wasn't for her father. And he brought his dad brain to the equation. Now, dad brain is the brain and the thinking that looks at orientation. Dad brain doesn't care if his kid is fighting or standing up and cheering for Hamas and stuff like that. He says, that's great, now get back to work. And by the way, did you pay your phone bill? These types of things. Dads are more interested in making sure that the rain gutters are unclogged and there's not damage going on to the home. They want to make sure that the brakes and the tires on the car are working so that their family is safe as they're driving around. Dad's got to make sure that the mortgage is paid, the insurance is up, and that his health and his ability to provide for his family are taken care of. That is dad brain. That's the responsible side of this equation. Now, when you get to the internet brain, it doesn't care because there's no responsibilities that go with it. They can change in a moment. Dad brain has responsibilities and has to take care of those things. Internet brain is fluid and it moves around. And internet brain doesn't know who it is because it changes. So with these campus agitators, and I find it hilarious that they want to use the word agitators to basically dumb this down like it's not a protest and it's not violence that they're doing. It's just a preview of what's coming this summer and fall. Total chaos. Now, if you look at the members who were compromising this group of agitators, it was mostly young women to a great extent. There were a few guys in there, but it was mostly young women. And the guys that were in there were very non-guyish, let's put it that way. They weren't very masculine. Never before in the history of negotiations with terrorists or occupiers of any type, in the list of demands that's been given to authorities, has there ever been the demand for the morning after pill? What the hell is that all about? Who has time to be sitting there screwing while you're supposed to be protesting against genocide? What is that commitment, or is that just like this is a party going on? The morning after pill being one of the list of demands, along with small gloves with non-knuckles for small hands. This is craziness run amok. Dads, moms, get your daughters back in check. If they're not going to follow the rules and all like that, cut them off. Cut off the money supply. If they're that big and that they're that capable, cut them off. This is a feather stroke. A lot of people think that feather strokes are, have the mommy brain. Oh, give them more time. No, feather strokes are being decisive and having rules and making sure that the rules are followed. This is a good thing to do for these young people and the older people who haven't gotten it. So what you have to do, feather strokes, is being disciplined and making sure that you're not falling out of line and moving over here just because my baby cries. You know what? Let her cry. It's okay. Tears fuel growth and awareness. So don't be softened up because your baby cries about things. Tell her how it is. Otherwise, she's going to come home with some dumbass that you're going to be calling son-in-law for the rest of your life. So there's another word I want to put in there along with dad brain. Now, dad brain is going to be influenced, and we're going to talk about that with St. Joseph and his influence, because it's steady, it's strong in the face of adversity. It didn't change its course. It stayed on path. St. Joseph had a heck of a job to do, and I don't think a lot of people realize just how much pipe he took in his life. But he stood with it, and what he did was he raised his Holy Family in safety and made sure that they got to where they needed to be without the devil catching wind of exactly who they were, because I don't believe the devil knew exactly who they were, because St. Joseph did such a good job of keeping them under the radar, so to speak, especially when they're going through Egypt and their exile. Now, one of the next terms I want you to think about is called transnationals. If I go back to the message I was given in May of 2001, when the angel Gabriel told me that the enemy was already on our soil, that the children would be our targets, and the goal was the destruction and removal of Israel from the face of the earth. So if they remove Israel from the face of the earth in the discussion, it's the underpinnings of all Christianity. All Christianity. That's the next target. They're not going to be settled with just taking out the Jews, and they're going to come after Christians, just like they did back in 800 to 1000. They're lining up to take out Christians. So it's already going on in Nigeria and Sudan without any talk going on in the media. I have yet to see anyone do a report on the genocide that is actually happening in Sudan and Nigeria right now. Entire villages being wiped out for sport. The bodies being left to rot and decay in the sun for the animals to come and eat them. They won't even let people come in to bury the bodies. So, transnationalism. A lot of people think that these wars and all like that are going to be fought on a national level, like the United States is going to be rising up, or the children in France are rising up. No, they're going to rise up globally within these countries, and these people will be taking on fights that'll be terrorist and guerrilla tactics in their form. And then they're going to go home to mom and dad's house and hang out for a few days, cool out, and wait to see if anything happens. Your kids are going to be the next army, and they're going to fight very cowardly, and they're going to fight with no real concern for the lives of others, because they are going to be so trained by their transnationalism. They have no respect or allegiance to a country. What they have allegiance to is more to the Taylor Swifts of the world. And I don't want to just pick on her. She's just a great example. Taylor Swift would be nothing without her dad. She made some money going in to things with a few record albums when she was a bubblegum queen as a kid. And fortunately for her, she had a father who was very astute, and he was able to say no to a number of things. And that's what allowed him to help build this empire that she has now. Good for them. Dad brain is what did it. She didn't follow the internet because her dad wouldn't allow it. Now, they use the internet. They use the internet to great effect. But dad brain, I think, is keeping her at least on the ground. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with her as she gets older. She's in her mid-30s right now. But this is an industry unto itself. But it carries an awful lot of influence in these children of today. And that's a scary thing, because they really don't have the background and the knowledge of how these things end up in the calculation of things. So we got to be very, very careful about this. Where's your influences? Where is the dad brain in the family? And a problem with that is we have a lot of families with no dad brain in it. Dads have been excluded from the families in record numbers, especially in the black community. Only 1 out of 4 black families has a male figure actually in residence. 75% have been removed from the family, from the household. They're still around, but they're not being like enforcing dads. This is a real problem. This is by design. So back to the transnational situation. You have people all over the globe. Now, in Denmark, they're protesting against freeing up Palestine. Palestine has the power in themselves to take care of this. All they have to do is rid themselves of the infection that they created, that being Hamas. So get rid of Hamas. Now you got something to talk about. But until you get rid of that, and if 80 to 90% of your population is supporting them, we have no business at all importing these people into this country. I'm sorry. But they have bad thinking. It isn't going to make it here. And I know a lot of people say, oh, you got to be nice about this. No. You got to have a dad brain, and you got to be forceful about it. This is the only way you create feather strokes. By giving into these things, there's no feather, there's no stroke. Feather strokes come from a position of strength and knowing who you are so that you can calm these children down and bring them back into the fold. Right now, they're throwing this major tantrum, and it's going on with this internet agitation that's going on. But the transnational effect, when they decide to go ahead and they've, with these riots or these protests that they say they have going on right now, this is only an attempt to organize these people so that they can move them. They're grouping these people into subsets, and when the time comes, they're going to activate them all, knowing what moves them. They'll use sensitive words. They'll use things that move these people, these kids who don't have good thought. They were asking kids at Columbia University, about the details of what they're protesting. They said they didn't know. Well, of course they didn't know, because they're dumbasses. This is what happens. So we have to fix this, and the only way to fix it is to bring back the dad brain, and dads have to take charge of this, and we also then have to have our leaders in government, not be sitting down, not make excuses for people. There's some things that we have to have put together, and if we don't, we're in big trouble. So with these transnationals being the new infiltrators and armies that are going to be going on, it's going to be up to the dad brains and the families to take action against their own children. It's your kids. Watch out for them. You got to be careful. Abraham had a situation. He was called to do something. God called upon him to make a sacrifice and said, hey, show me that you love me, give me Isaac. Make him a sacrifice. Abraham was ready to do that. Bad news for the ram that day, but Isaac walked away. But are we prepared to be like Abraham? Are we really prepared to be like Abraham? Do we have that much faith that we would turn our children over? I'm not saying we have to sacrifice them. But we do have to be prepared to turn them over if we can't fix them. This is a feather stroke. It's not being mean. It's not being bad. It's not being tough. It's being proper. It's being correct. It's following the requests of the Holy Spirit. So, I don't know if any of you remember the 70s show back in I think it was in the 90s or early 2000s. It had a character on there. The father was named Red Foreman. And Red was a definite Wisconsin conservative, which is not normal these days. But Red Foreman laid down the law with his son Eric and his other group of friends and whatnot. When they were doing something stupid, Red, shot him down and called them dumbasses. And a lot of people took offense to that, but no, it was correct. They were perfect dumbasses, and they were being shown to be that. They smoked a lot of pot, and they did stupid stuff. And Red Foreman was there to be the dad brain and bring civility and correctness back to the equation. When he would ground Eric Foreman, it had consequences. Nowadays, you ground someone, they go to the room and says, I don't care, I got this. Well, take this away. This is the problem. They're not listening to you. They're listening to what's on here. You're secondary. You're just a means to feeding them and giving them more money to pay for this stuff. We got to cut it off. You got to be, decisive about these things. And it doesn't mean forever, because they don't want to handicap the kid. But you've got to get them centered back in. They haven't suffered. And this is why they don't know what they don't know. So these kids who sit there and say, oh, our generation has suffered more than anybody. I'm sorry, but they have not. They have not seen their friends and cousins coming home in body bags from a war that just didn't seem to have any end to it and any reason for being in. Now, these others, they've definitely got some reason for being into. All of our fortunes, all of our futures are at stake if Israel is taken out. Huge implications for the future generations. So the goal is to eliminate God in the family and in the government especially, and to make God an abstract fallacy of conservative thinking. And they're going to use that against you. Like I said, this summer is going to be very, very difficult. Summer and fall is going to turn into total chaos out there on the streets. This is what these organizers are looking to do. And they're going to move these people into situations and fund them in ways that are just unbelievable. So with that, do some research on dad brains and internet brains and what the topics are on that. Look into the word transnationals and what that means for these kids and what's going on. Alex and I are going to be back with more stuff here on the dad brain side of things with St. Joseph as our influence, and try to bring that to you so that you have some points of thought on this. So it's all going to be coming together. It's moving very, very quickly. Our Lady requests that you pray, but you pray with purpose and intention, strong intention. This is going to help you know who you are. So Our Lady also wants you to know that she's there, and she's more like you than she's not like you. She was human too. She is human. She's not a god, and I don't think anyone on this viewership even believes that. Some people who are not understanding as Protestants may think that Catholics do consider her to be a god, but that's not the case at all. So hopefully we'll work on those things then too. But more full understanding, we're going to be getting into the mystical city of God much deeper going forward here in our next series of segments that we're going to be doing here. So Alex is putting some great notes together. I'm really excited about it. So we'll be back with that. So I wanted to make a short burst here today, and it's raining outside, so I can't do any work on my property. So today was a good day to knock out another little podcast for you. But this has been really, really important. So we'll be back. I love you. See you soon.